All right, welcome everybody to Monday Night Bible Study with special guest Brother Rick. We're in the book of Genesis, and we're just about done with chapter 1, getting ready to get started on chapter 2. How about that, Rick? We've been at it for a while. It's about time, eh?
Woohoo! Chapter 2. We are really moving it, aren't we? Yeah.
Right. Let's see. We almost finished the commentary on, what was it? I don't have it visible here on the screen. It was verses 31, it was 30, where we're talking about life equals soul or nephesh. So compare verses 20 and 2, verse 7, chapter 2, verse 7, and appendix 13. And we had verse 30 was, and to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat, and it was so. Let me ask you a question. What's the difference between the beasts of the earth and beasts of the field?
I don't believe there's any. I think it's just another variation. Actually, most of the time, I think that word is translated as living creature in certain translations. So let me see if I can pull it up, see if there's any particular distinction being shown in the verb, in the actual Hebrew. We'll see here. Okay, now that there, beast of the earth. So beast is K of the Eretz. Let's see if there is there another one where it says field here? Or is that another translation somewhere else? If I'm not mistaken, that's exactly the case. It's just a variation in the translation. But
Okay.
yeah, because it says here both of them say beast of the earth in Genesis chapter 1. But it is commonly translated living creature. So it is still referring to the same thing. As far as I'm concerned, it basically can mean the same thing as a biped that looks man-like, but is certainly not.
Mm-hmm. They have hands, in other words, and
They have hands and et cetera, yes.
they can talk. They can speak like the serpent, who was considered more subtle than any beast of the field. But we're going to get to that in a little bit in chapter 3. Okay, well, in this verse 30, where it's talking about the beast of the earth, so to compare verse 20, and I have that on our outline. Do you want to read that and see why he's saying to compare it?
I did look up this here beast that is K, and it is but of the Saude, which in this case it means to spread out a field as flat, country, field, ground, beast of the ground, beast of the land, beast of the field, beast of the country. But since it means to spread out, I would suggest that there maybe it suggests that they became nomadic, and since they were able to spread out like that, so that's interesting, little slight difference. But again, I think you'll find that some translations translate both these phrases as a living creature. But anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
In that Genesis 1:20, it says, "And Yahweh said, Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." So there it's translated moving creature, but down here in verse 30, it's translated as beast of the earth. Is that correct? Is it the same word?
In chapter 2, verse 20, is beast of the field. But if you notice what it's in, and Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to the beast of the field. So, in other words, the context of discussion is still the same type of thing. Notice up above, however, in verse 19, and every living creature that was the name thereof. Adam called every living creature that was the name thereof. So yeah, you'll find different translations on these various phrases, and living creature is certainly one of them. But yeah, okay. And what verse did you want to go read?
Well, we just read 120. How about Genesis 2:7?
Genesis 2:7. Seems like we had looked at this last week, but and Yahweh gave, and Yahweh formed the man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living nephesh, or soul.
Yeah, I wonder why he's comparing that with verse 30.
Well, because let me see. I've got Bullinger's notes on here. Let me go back to verse 30, context of the term he is trying to define, and that's nephesh. He's looking at nephesh. That's why he
Okay.
pointed you to Genesis 1:20, and 2:7 as well. Genesis 2:7 as well.
Okay, and he also says here to look at Appendix 13. And so, oh, that's 18.
18. Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see what 18 is. I pulled it up here. I thought I had it. I guess not. So we'll have to come back to that.
Well, let's see. I might be able to pull it up, search for it right quick. Let's see. Appendix 18.
Yeah.
I don't have my Bible here next to me.
Okay, I got it. I found
Okay.
it.
All right.
Yeah, it says, in the day, Genesis 2, verse 12, biyam, when. It is the figure synodoche. We talked about that a couple weeks ago, I think.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
By which a part is put for the whole or a whole for the part. See Appendix 6. What that part is must be determined by the context in each particular case. Genesis 2:4, it is put for the whole 6 days. In Numbers 7:8 is put for the whole 12 days of the dedication of the altar, so forth and so on. You get the idea.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go back. Oh, there it is. Oh, that was, did I pull up 18 or did he said 13, didn't he?
No, he said Appendix 18.
Did it say 18?
Yes. Let me see. I get that Bible.
Well, the use of nephesh, I think he did reference 13.
I think that's what he's going to, that's what I think he's going to in Appendix 18 is discussion on the soul and such. I think that's what he does in that.
Yeah, that's
been a while since I've looked at his appendices.
Yeah, it's 13, the soul of man. The word nephesh occurs 754 times in the Hebrew Old Testament. Each occurrence is noted in the margin, but it will be useful for the Bible student to have a complete list. In the Authorized Version and Revised Version, it is translated soul 472 times, while in the other 282 places, it is represented by 44 different words of phrases. In 53 of these places, there is a marginal rendering which calls attention to the fact that the word nephesh, while in 229 passages in the English reader has hitherto been left in ignorance of the fact. The English word soul is in every occurrence the rendering of the Hebrew nephesh, except in Job 30:15 and Isaiah 57:16. The time has come to open the book and let it speak for itself. Henceforth, everyone who uses the companion Bible will have complete information as to the facts and can use it in determining its definitions. I'm going to skip over some of this. I thought it was going to be more substantive information.
It's just discussing nephesh.
Yeah.
But I do know why it said Appendix 18 verses 13 in his actual Bible. It is Appendix 13. However, on this e-sword, they have it wrong. They have Appendix 18. Yeah, they missed it there.
Well, here in the commentary, the 13 is kind of fuzzy, so
Yep.
I guess
It was a little
was.
fuzzy on mine too. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. They probably scanned it, and then the scanner probably made the mistake.
Mm.
Nobody caught it. Anyway.
Yeah, and then he references, I have given. That's in verse 30. I've given every green herb, for example. He says this is an ellipsis, Appendix 6, correctly supplied from verse 29. Yeah, in verse
Okay, so
29, he also says, I have given.
yeah, so it's a redundant statement.
Okay.
He actually has already supplied the figure of speech on that earlier. I don't remember what it was, but the redundancy is a means of emphasis, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
As usual, you say it over and over again. You're trying to make a point, and that's what he's emphasizing, that Yahweh had given all of these different things, and the writer was emphasizing that it was given of Yahweh on both accounts, all accounts rather.
Yeah, and he's referenced here too. Pull this back up over here, Appendix 6. As a figure of speech ellipsis. Go back up here. See what an ellipsis is. I've got to cut off my notifications. I don't know if y'all are hearing that or not. Well, I don't see it on there, so we'll just skip that for the time being.
Okay.
And it said, so I guess that leaves us with verse 31, the 6th day. Here with article the, unlike the other 5 days. 6, the number of a man. See Appendix 10. What is he trying to point out here, the 6th day?
He's going to take you. I think Appendix 10 is his discussion of numbers in the Bible, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see here.
Just trying to mute my notifications. They keep
I just don't
up.
have enough desk space here in front of me to keep all these different things going on here. Yeah.
But yeah, the significance of numbers.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, so 6, it says, denotes human number. Man was created on the 6th day, and this first occurrence of the number makes it, and all multiples of it, the hallmark of all connected with man. He worked 6 days, and I'm going to add, and then we rest today. The hours of his day are a multiple of 6. Athaliah usurped the throne of Judah 6 years. The great men who have stood out in defiance of Yahweh, Goliath, Nebuchadnezzar, and Antichrist, are all emphatically marked by this number. That's interesting.
Well, there's another element that I have read before, and that is the number 666 relates to a particular man. And we have it identified as it's the number of his name. And it's the name of a man. And then you have, as far as I'm concerned, I think the identification that Paul uses in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 is, therefore, has another link, and that is the man of sin. So 666 has probably certain elements of not graceful, but something else, probably some element of something that is not good. Does he say anything about that?
No, I don't think he says. Let me go back to that.
so small I can't read it anymore now. Let's see.
Spiritual significance
Yeah,
of numbers.
the human number. Man was created on the sixth day, etc. Like you said.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, he doesn't mention anything evil other than he does mention Goliath and Nebuchadnezzar and Antichrist.
okay, the great men who have stood out in defiance of Yahweh, Goliath and
Yes.
Nebuchadnezzar and Anti-Messiah, are all emphatically marked by this number 6. So, yeah, I think the man of sin likely applies on that as far as I'm concerned. But anyway, okay.
Okay, so now I guess we've finished
Chapter
chapter
1.
1. The evening and the morning were the 6th day. So I guess that doesn't mean that the 6th day was bad, though, right? It just
I would not
means,
say that. Uh, that is the day that Adam was created on. Um, so, yeah. And it
let us
certainly
make man in
turned
our
out
image.
problematic. Yeah, it certainly turned out problematic.
Very true. Okay, chapter 2. Thus the
Woo-hoo.
heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. Okay, what do you say about that?
Well, now he says here, this is out of the Dakes. He says the heavens and the earth, which are now, he emphasizes again, as in 2 Peter 3, 5 through 8, not the original creation of the heavens and the earth, as in 1:1. This work was that of the 6 days, of 1:3 through 2:25. To regulate the solar system in connection with the restored Earth and to make it habitable again. Remember, we're dealing with a situation also where the Earth's first sinless career was when Lucifer ruled the pre-Adamites without sin. That he's talking about the 1:2 gives you another reference of Ezekiel 28:15, and before his rebellion, uh, references Isaiah 14:12 to 16, Ezekiel 28:11 through 17, Jeremiah 4:23 to 26, and 2 Peter 3, 5 through 8. So, yeah.
And Bullinger says here, with regard to that verse 1, the heavens and the earth, and he has equal to which are now, which is a reference to 2 Peter 3:7. And we talked about that up in chapter 1, I think, where we have the world that then was versus the earth which is now. So chapter 2, verse 1 is talking about the heavens and the earth which are now, right?
That's correct, which are now. And that this will be replaced as well, according to Scripture. I will point out the where it talks about in the first verse, heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. Host is Sabah, Tisabah, mass of persons or things. And they give some reference passages. Here it refers to all the infinite creations of heavens and earth in this commentary.
Well, does that include the heavenly host? I thought the heavenly host was created back in the first earth age, not in the one that we are in now.
I guess we'll
So
have to wait to find out on that one. I don't think so. I don't think it, and all the host of them, the heavens and the earth were finished. So he's talking about this creation or reestablishment, this reestablishment. And so all the host of them that were in this reestablishment cycle of creation or reestablishment.
This isn't talking about the heavenly host then.
This would not include things that were previous to even the first the first earth, the original creation of earth, because there were things before then. And I would argue that, yeah, the heavenly host was created even before the original creation of the heavens and earth in that regard.
Mm-hmm.
Because when he
This
talks
is,
about heavens, that's not necessarily talking about every level. Yahweh existed. The heavenly host apparently existed, and so he created. And as far as I'm concerned, it looks to me like he created Debar Yahweh first, because he says he's the beginning of the creation of Yahweh in certain passages in your Bible, and he basically assigned him to do the creation after that. And we're talking about the one before this one as well. So we're talking about the
mm-hmm.
one that's going on in Genesis 1:1, Genesis 1:1 there. So
Yeah, he
yeah,
says to
so it
see
would
the
not include that. Yeah.
he says to see the structure in 1:1. So we have to go way back here and look at that structure. The heavens and the earth, which are now. And he talks, the structure there is darkness and light, night and day. That's the first day.
Okay.
The waters and division between them was the second day. The earth, fruit from it, the third day. Day and night, sun and moon, the fourth day. Waters, life from them, the fifth day. And then the earth, life from it on the sixth day. So let's go back. That's the structure. So it is talking about that which is now. And then he says, without the Hebrew article eth. Why would he say that? I'm not following that. Eth.
I don't have it here open in front of me. Let me see.
Can you see it on the screen? I can make it bigger if you want to check it
No, I
out.
was looking at your notes. Let me see.
Oh.
There's only so much space on my screen, even though I got a large screen. Let's see. Is not eth? Is not eth?
Doesn't that mean the, like Adam, the Adam or something?
That's
And
what I
this
was
says
thinking. But
without the Hebrew eth,
mm,
without the Hebrew particle eth. So what is he referencing there? The heavens and the earth. That's it. So without the article.
So if yeah, so he's comparing it to 1:1, and it does. It has the there. The is there
Yeah.
as well.
Okay.
So he's got a footnote. Let me see here. He's got the little dot. I think the little dot is referring to.
Oh yeah. I see that. It's like a little
Hence,
degree symbol.
that's right. So let me look on this. 2:1. Okay, now let me look over at 1:1. Since I don't have my well, I'm going to tell you, let's move along, because I don't have my interlinear. I can't look up the entire word to there. They're only going to give you. So probably what happens is that it does not have the on there, and since I don't have my interlinear. Let me see if I can get it right quick.
Meanwhile, I'm going to read Deuteronomy 4:26. He says to compare with. It says, I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day, that ye shall soon utterly perish from off the land whereunto ye go over Jordan to possess it. Ye shall not prolong your days upon it, but shall utterly be destroyed. Now there it does not have the, I call heaven and earth to witness.
Aleph Tau. It does not have the Aleph Tau in it. So we did a little podcast here a while back about the Aleph Tau issue, or I made mention of it. And we showed some images regarding how it's often used. The Aleph Tau is in Genesis 1:1, but the Aleph Taw is not in Genesis chapter 2, verse 1, when it's talking about the heaven and the earth. The Aleph Taw is not in those places on Genesis chapter 2, verse 1. But it is, the Aleph Taw is in both places in chapter 1, verse 1.
That's
That's
interesting
what I
because
think he's talking about.
the Aleph Tav is the Alpha and the Omega. Is it
That's
not?
correct. Mm-hmm.
The beginning and the end.
That's what it looks like to me, and I think it's just like a signature of Debar Yahweh, as far as I'm concerned, being in that particular instant. So that's not to say that he's not in Genesis chapter 2, verse 1, but the emphasis is definitely on the very beginning in Genesis chapter 1, verse 1.
Okay. All right, let's go on to verse 2. And on the seventh day, Yahweh ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made.
This has probably got a mistranslation in it from our Masoretic text, because your Septuagint, your Syriac, and your Samaritan translation, it says on the sixth day Yahweh ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work, etc. So yeah, he makes mention of it here. He says seventh. Pentateuch, Samaritan Pentateuch, and Septuagint reads sixth, but so does the Syriac, which is in this Dakes. Dakes makes mention of it, and some other commentaries I'd looked on this. It makes mention as well that the Syriac also says sixth instead of seventh day, which is evidently correct. He goes on, and that's what every one of them that I've came across has said. And they give an explanation. Let me see here. Adam Clark gives an explanation. He says that when these numeral letters, so the difference between sixth and seventh, became changed for words at full length, two letters nearly similar might be mistaken for each other. So the waw, or some people say it's the va, stand for six. When the zain, the letter z, they look very similar for seven. And so a slight scribal either error or somebody reading it incorrectly simply ended up with our Masoretic text being likely altered. Why would we say that it was Masoretic text that was altered? Well, because the Septuagint and some of these other writings that he makes mention of actually came from, guess what? The what gets identified later on as Masoretic text. So that source, the antiquity of the source and such, is where the expectation of what it probably was demands we actually probably should switch it back to sixth. And on the sixth day, Yahweh ended his work. After all, if he ended his work on the seventh day, then he's breaking the Sabbath day, right?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. That's interesting. I guess most people probably wouldn't pick that up. So it's good that we're really covering this in depth. And let's see, what else does it say here? It says, see chapter 1, verse 5. I have it quoted here. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning were the first day. I don't know why that's relevant, but what do you think?
Oh, well, because he's referencing the first day. So it's a time period. I think isn't that the word om? Let's see. Yom. Yes. So just keep in mind, a yom is basically a period of time. Let me just read it here. It says, from an unused root meaning to be hot. A day as the warm hours, whether literally from sunrise to sunset or from one sunset to the next, or figuratively a space of time defined by an associated term. So When you think of, like what Peter says there, one day is as 1,000 years to Yahweh. So he's making you know, some kind of embarkations on time as they relate to Yahweh. So periods of time, numerous types of periods of time can be actually referred to as yom, and the associated terms in the area, or so the context, as we would say, within a sentence actually is going to give you the proper meaning. So let's say, even if we use the word year, for example, are you talking about a 365 point whatever, or are you talking about a prophetic year? Are you talking about um, a prophetic year, or a day? Or are you talking about a prophetic day within the scope of all of prophecy? So in other words, 1 year is as 1,000, 1 day is as 1,000 years. Now you've got the prophetic timeline of the entire reestablishment, or quote unquote creation, from Genesis chapter 1 verse 2 till the end of the millennium. You say, well, what? So each one of those 7 days equals 1,000 years. So we're coming up on the end of, if we've not already reached it, according to some people's definition, but we're around, some people would say, around the end of the sixth, or the end of the 5,999th year, so to speak. We're about to go into the millennium, if you believe in a millennium, but like I do. But you will end up with another 1,000 years after this. But what happens at the close of the day? What happens at the close of this day? Well, you're talking about the second advent. That's what's going to happen. And that's what your prophetic timeline is really consistent. Now, keep in mind, okay, just keep this in mind. I know we're off topic here a little bit, but I want to, because we're on the subject of the time issue, I want to go ahead and explain this. And that is, so when Messiah came, that was about at the end of the fourth, it was after about 4,000 years since the reestablishment of Genesis chapter 1 verses, starting about verse 2. So, and you've got basically 3,000 more years to go since when the Messiah came. So out of the overall 7, guess what we're into by the time Messiah comes? In that context, we are into the last days of the overall prophetic cycle. Yeah, that's why they could also say that these are the last days, and the Messiah could refer to the last days and things of this nature. So you have to be careful as to the context of what they're talking about. They weren't crazy. They weren't mistaken. They thought the Messiah was coming back soon. No, that's not necessarily what he's talking about. So it can be referring to that prophetic timeline of 7,000 years, broken down on a day count, so-called, a yom. But it's not just, yom does not just refer to a 24-hour period, for example. It can also refer to, like the Messiah said, are there not 12 hours in a day, for example? Well, no, there's not 12 hours in a day, but he's referring to the potential for sunlight period. Yes, so there are 12 hours in a day. But so, yeah, this word yom can refer to a lot of different things, but in this case, it was the 7th yom, or time period, of signifying his rest. And that, by the way, is also symbolic, therefore, of the millennium. Enter into his rest. So keep that in mind as far as how you interpret certain things, as far as the millennium and such is concerned, if you believe in a millennium.
Yeah, and he also references Appendix 5, which has to do with creation versus evolution. And does this perhaps relate to what you've been talking about?
Well, what it relates to in his context there is, since you make mention of a difference between creation and evolution, there was basically a point that Yahweh ended the creation process. And so that's why he brings up the detail of creation versus evolution, that it's not a consistent changing as evolution tries to teach or attempts to teach. And it's definitely not, remember, keep in mind, evolution basically teaches the things have changed because of mutations and corruptions. So I would say adversarial nature promoting degradation and promoting the idea of degradation. Ultimately, by the way, that same mindset leads to, well, we're just nothing but animals, and so your communist thinks it's nothing wrong to kill off millions and millions of people under their tutelage, under their control, because they're just animals anyway, So that's the mindset that it helps develop and pretends to justify. So evolution does. So he's trying to make a distinction between creation and versus evolution. Yeah, keep in mind, folks, though, we do want to reemphasize the situation there in 2 Peter. These people are willingly ignorant, he talks about. They denying certain things of the part of the creation, and they are creationists. They do believe in the creation. They think that all things have continued since all things continue as they are since the beginning. That's what they teach and what they believe. They don't believe in that pre-earth got wiped out. They don't teach that. They teach the earth is basically 6,000 years old. And that is not the case according to your Bible. That's the way I think of it. That's the way I understand his very point and what he was actually condemning over there in 2 Peter. Yeah.
Okay.
And they weren't evolutionists, they were creationists. So just because a person is a creationist does not make them right in line with Yahweh's ways and mindset. So it goes on and talks about the word made here. Let's see.
Yeah, I left up that Appendix 5 so people can read it when they go back and listen.
Okay.
They can stop and read that. So, made, see note on 1:7. I can just scroll back up here to 1:7.
I think that's the first time the word is actually mentioned. And note, he does say here, all his rested from all his work which Yahweh created and made. We're talking about two different things, folks. Remember what we talked about in an earlier podcast on this section. We dealt with the word bara, and we also dealt with the word asa, and they are two different things. One is creating something. Created is basically something out of nothing, and made is basically to make something that is out of already pre-existing material. We'll say it that way. So that's why I normally tend to basically define it as a reestablishment. And so when you read these words made in Genesis chapter 1, for example, keep in mind, I suggest you could actually just understand it as being reestablishment or reestablished. He reestablished this, he reestablished that. But in other passages, he's talking about he created out of nothing certain things. Because certain things from the previous creation was wiped out, totally wiped out. So he had to start from scratch, in essence, on certain things. But other things, he just had to reestablish it.
Yeah, I'm looking at that word made, and Yahweh created and made. It says up in 1:26 or 27 that he created man. Was that right? And then down here at 2:7 it says he formed man of the dust of the ground. So that word formed, is that the same as made, do you think, as opposed to created?
I doubt it. Let me see here.
This is in 26.
Which verse?
Let us make man. So, and that's in Genesis 1:26, and then down here 2:7, he formed.
It's a yatsar, through squeezing into shape, mold into a form, especially as a potter Who's the potter? Have you seen a pot mold itself, folks? I haven't. Figuratively, to determine, that is, form a resolution. It is translated as earthen, fashion, form, frame, make, maker, potter, and purpose in your English King James Version.
Okay. So let's see here. Created C note on 1:1. The introduction. Oh, I'm on the wrong part
Chapter.
here. Yeah, chapter 2. It talks about. Now, I was thinking that these verses 1 through 3 should be associated with chapter 1 and then start chapter 2 with verse 4, because verse 4 talks about the generations of the heaven and earth. It's a totally new part to the structure, where you have, it shows here, I'm not going to read everything. People can go back and look here if they want to look at the recording that I make. But just the initial part says the generations of the heaven and earth. The first part is before the fall, man in probation, then the fall of man, and then after the fall, man in ruin. That's basically the structure of chapter 2, verses 4 through chapter 4:26. You want to say anything about that? Do we need to address that any further?
No, I was looking to see if there was some more detail about that I could bring out on this dates that I have here.
Okay.
But
well, while you're doing that, I'll look a little bit at the structure. Man before the fall. That's an intro version, an extended alteration. And I'll do 1J, the earth for man and woman, then for the ground, no man, then the ground and vegetable creation, then the formation of man, then the garden, then the trees, then the rivers, and then go back to the garden, and then back to the trees, and then for the man, no woman, the ground and animate creation, then the formation of woman, then finally man and woman for earth. That's a pretty interesting structure right there, isn't it?
absolutely. You have a clear establishment of a hierarchy as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Okay, so let's get started. Oh, did you find something in dates?
Well, I did. I just wanted to give you the 4 divine acts in day 7. 1, Yahweh ended, so divine completion and perfection. Number 2 is Yahweh rested, a divine repose. Can we have a divine repose ourselves? Divine rest? Can we rest in accord? Yahweh blessed, that's the 3rd one. Divine invocation. And on day 7, Yahweh sanctified, divine separation and dedication. 4 divine acts for day 7.
Okay, verse 4, these are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created, in the day that Yahweh made the earth and the heavens. Okay, you want to say anything there, or should we go to the commentary?
Oh, I didn't know we'd actually finish with verse 3. I'm sorry. Yahweh blessed the 7th day and sanctified it. So I did want to give you this definition. Is that the first use of this word proves that sanctification means separation from a profane to a sacred purpose, and that it is not limited to the sin question. So if you want to be sanctified ourselves, we have to separate ourselves from a profane to a sacred purpose. What are you called for? What are you here for? What's your goal in life? What's your intent? Why did Yahweh make you? Why did Yahweh separate you? Why did he fill you with his spirit, etc.? We're not just to, be couch potatoes. We're on a mission. And it's a sanctified mission, separated from, for a holy use mission.
And that applies to us too. We're supposed to separate ourselves from profane people, even
Absolutely.
heathens, and even from our people that are stiff-necked. If we warn them and they don't change their ways, we should separate from them as well.
After the first and second admonition, reject, knowing that he is subverted and sinneth, being condemned of himself. Yeah, there's other, when people come in and try to cause divisions contrary to Yahweh's way, there's a reason. It's not just anybody causing divisions. If there's somebody coming and causing divisions contrary to the will and ways of Yahweh, now you got an issue. But if it's somebody just trying to separate you from the wicked, that's a righteous act. One of the purposes for the fivefold ministry is for the perfecting of the saints, it says. And then he's also telling you to beware, to not be so cynical of them, because they are actually out there looking out for you, looking out for your eternal soul. There's a passage that Paul brings up like that. I don't remember the exact wording, but it's something to that effect. That's one reason why they're also held to a greater judgment, a more accountability. So, yeah, if a group of people is not trying to turn you to righteousness, to living holy and living right in this present evil world, trying to get you to study, to get you to read, to get you to research, I'm just telling you, they're wanting you to be their subject. Their subject. They're wanting to control and manipulate you, ultimately. So be very careful about those types, where if they're not out to do the will and work of Yahweh in helping the body grow in faith and in knowledge and in holiness and in righteousness and for perfection, then you're in the wrong place then. So grow in faith and in knowledge and keep